Hello everybody, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me here today. If we have never met before, I am Donna. I do all types of paper crafting, usually things for junk journals, although I do really enjoy mixed media and a little bit of card making and things like that as well. So over the last couple of days, I have been making some journaling cards and I thought I would share them with you today and then make another one all together. So the idea for these journaling cards probably isn't new. Someone somewhere has probably done them before, but this is just an idea that kind of came into my head and I went with it. So basically the concept is a journaling card decorated with a circle that flips down with a little slit to keep it in place, and then basically you can have anything you want. On this side I've done a little photograph on here, and then we've got journaling space on the back. So that was the first one I made, and this photo is it's somewhere I went last summer. I had some beautiful sunflowers, so I thought this was ideal for that, and it just slips into there like that, keeps it all in place, gives you a little pocket if you were wanting to put something such as maybe a tag or a journaling card in there as well. So once I'd done that, I then adapted it, because once you've kind of got the idea, you can kind of do all sorts with it. This is future me doing a really quick tutorial on how I made this example here. So I've got the pieces of card cut out to the same measurements. As I said, this can be adapted anyway, but I just wanted to quickly give you a reference to how I put this one together. So I have my base, which is 5 3/4 in length and 3 1/2 in width. The reason for these measurements is mainly this one, is that my largest circle in my nesting dice set measures 3 1/2 in diameter, and I wanted the circle to fill the full front widthways of my base. So that is why I measured my base to fit my circle, rather than the other way around and having my circle to fit the base. The height is just what I thought would look good in terms of proportion, how much space I wanted at the top. So that was just like a preference thing for me. So once my circle was cut out, I then scored at the bottom like that and popped that onto there. Then I got myself a pencil and I thought about where the top of this circle was, so about here, which meant I wanted to put a slit about there. So all I did was make a mark. Then I used a craft knife and a ruler and just made a slit like that. If you want your slit to be slightly bigger, you can go just under where you've just made that first slit, and then you can do another one, and that will just give you a slightly wider gap. And then once this is stuck, I'll just put some glue onto the back. Once that was stuck, there I had my journaling card all ready to go, and then it was just a case of decorating it. So I hope that's been a little bit helpful. From here, I adapted it into different styles and had different variations, which you will see as we carry on. So I will go back to past me and we will continue with the video. So I've got an idea book here. Here is like the original prototype. Ignore the measurements because I did end up changing them. But basically the idea was a card and a circle that was the same diameter. and then just scored there. The score bit goes underneath, and then we put the circle on top, and then we make a little slit. And that was my idea, and that was the basic construction of it. But then, as you can see, I have been able to come up with lots of different ideas for using that simple construction. So one idea is to make an aperture and have a dried flower. So that is this one here. Now I've got a specific method for doing dried flowers in windows. It's a really popular video that I have. I will put it in the description because I do go into quite a lot of detail in that video as to what I use. But so because of that video, I'm not going to recreate this particular one today. But if you would like to go and have a look, it will be down in the description. So this is the circle just fastened onto the back. And I've kept it nice and plain. I cut a smaller circle in the back just to cover the kind of the messy bit of the acetate. You could also do it, I will show you in a second, I've got another example where you see straight through that acetate. And you can also see that instead of doing a slit, I've just done it slightly different and did a hole so that it can be tied at the top there. Another alternative I had was to change the shape. So here is an example of that. So instead of the circle, I've used a hexagon. And on this one, you can see that the acetate goes straight through. I haven't blocked it off with another piece of paper. I've just put a backing piece on that had the hole cut out in the same place. Added a few little extra bits, and that's what the back looks like. So if you would like to know the papers that I have used, I will just very, very quickly tell you. I will timestamp this video so that you can skip to the next bit if you're not interested. But this is the Elizabeth Craft Designs Reminiscence 5, I believe. This is a Tim Holtz paper. I've stamped it around the outside with the latest Heidi Swapp Stamp Society stamps. It's got a gorgeous kind of flower like silhouette stamp. So I've put that all the way around the outside. I've got my date here for the photograph. And then I used a few die cuts that I had. The butterfly on the front is a Tim Holtz. It was the first archive release with the 2 big butterflies. So I had loads of those ready in my stash. This one looked perfect with this the style of the stamping, so I chose this one. And then I put the little bits of the circles and the protector there are the leftover bits from this photograph. And I also put a little bit of acetate over there just to protect the photograph as well. So Elizabeth Craft Designs, Tim Holtz, and this paper pack is beautiful. It's this collection here, and I've had it. It's 49 on Market. I've had it a while. I have dug some of these things out, but there's frames. There's gorgeous, like, these are called remnants. What is it called this? Curators, Essential Remnants. So you get all these bits, you get frames. There's this 22 mix and match cardstock die cut pieces. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And there's also these clips as well. So I used this paper collection. I'll quickly show it you because it is beautiful. I don't know if it's still available. I bought this last year and I don't know if it was new then. So get papers like this. So they're really nice on one side and they are backed on the other with plain. Some of them are backed with patterns, and there are 3 of each designs, plus some of them have been turned from vertical to horizontal, which is really handy as well. So this is what I used. I'll just quickly show you. So you get 3 of each, and they're just gorgeous. I love these. The only thing is, it's one of those that you don't know which bit to use, which is why it's really nice that there's 3 of each design, because you don't feel like you're having to hoard. So this is the one where we've got a vertical design. So we've got that one, and then we've got this one as well, which has been switched around. So that is gorgeous, and that's what I use for this final one. And it just goes together so nice, and that backing is just gorgeous and plain for some journaling. These protectors are Elizabeth Craft Designs as well. I think they are set 1. And again, you know, I had those cut out ready to go as well. So 3 very different styles based around the same design and just tweaked in different ways to create a variation in style. So I'm going to make another one with you today, and I've decided that I would like this one to be a little bit more grungy, using some recycled paper and some stencils. This is a circle I had left over from making this, so I'm going to make good use of that and use it on this one. And I also have the small circle that I cut from here. I'm going to make sure I use that up as well. And I'm going to do a slightly different style, and I'm thinking of having a go at doing this here, where we add a pocket to the front of this circle. But I'm going to arrange the circle slightly different onto the background. So the first thing I want to do is I want to ink up this journaling card. I've pre-cut it. It measures 5 3/4 in height and just over 2 3/4 in width. Because I'm using circles, I kind of want to keep to the roundness. So I am going to round the corners just at the top, and I'm going to use the middle size, like that. This paper has come from this recycled book, Knott's Mathematical Tables, I found in a charity shop. It was in a bin outside, getting all wet and ruined. So I am recycling it and giving it a new lease of life. And I just stuck it onto a plain piece of textured card that I had, which is looking very white. So I've got this stencil here. I really enjoy this stencil. It's a Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. And I don't know if it's got a name. No, it just says it's a layering stencil. So I like it because if you've got something tall, it's really handy. Because it's really, like, it's a really long stencil. So I'm going to pop that on there. And I do want to use the ground espresso, but only really lightly. So I'm going to make sure I tap off. And I don't want to cover it all. I just want a little bit. I'm going to do it really lightly, as I said. And just get some of that pattern onto the back of here. And next, with the vintage photo, I have got this little stencil here. Now, I'm not sure where I got this from, but I'm just going to very lightly do a few kind of coffee stain marks. Like that. It always amazes me how much ink actually comes off, even if you're hardly pressing it. It looks like nothing's there, but when you remove it, it really is there. I think I might go slightly darker with some more of the ground espresso. I'm going to turn the stencil and kind of layer that up a little bit. Just do a few here, like that. And then next I want to ink all around the edge. So this is just giving us a little bit of colour to the background, but it's still light enough that I can write on it if I want to, or I could just keep it decorative. You can see now as well that ink's picking up the texture of the paper. And now I've done that with a blending brush, I'm going to repeat it with what are these called? Sponges. Just to add some depth at the sides and at these corners. I'm going to turn over as well. I'm going to do the same on this side, but I don't think I'm going to add much extra ink. I'm just going to kind of colour it a little bit. Just so it's not got the stark difference between the front and the back. And I'm going to go round as well, like I did on the back with this. Darken that up a slight bit. And then finally, I'm going in with the scorched timber. In fact, before I do that, I'm just going to add like the odd coffee stain. Can't see it too much, which is fine. I don't want to be able to see it. You know, I don't want it to be able to stand out. I just want to add a little bit of texture. So there we go. And now I'm going to go around in my scorched timber just to give the outside some definition. I'm going to keep it really close on the edge. I don't want this colour coming onto the actual paper. I just want to define the edge of the tag. And I will do the same on this side. I love how this is looking. I'm also going to do the same to my circles, but just using the sponge. I don't want to add too much darkness to this because I think it contrasts, you know, the blues and those lighter colours. I feel contrast nicely with the darker paper that we're using. So just around like that. I've also cut a circle, which is one down on my nesting dies. I have a set of nesting dies that have the stitched elements around. So I just went down one size. And now my favourite colour to use with white is actually pumice stone ink, which is what I used on here. But to keep it complementary with the rest, I will use that. And tiny bit now of the scorched timber to define the edge. So I'm going to construct this one slightly differently. So I'm not going to have the circle at the bottom. And I'm also not going to make a slit here either. Now I did have a prototype of this made, and I was going to film a section of the video where I just made this base out. It's quite self-explanatory. It's more just to show you how I stuck this on and how I made the slit. Future me may do that after I film this video, and I might insert it into the beginning of this video. So if I've managed to do that, you will have already seen that done and explained. So this one I'm going to do in a slightly different way. And what I want to do is have the circle, so it's about there, with the pocket on like that. And then I want this to kind of be the thing that catches it to keep it closed. And I was thinking, I've got these teeny tiny little split pins, which I thought I could use, but what I need to just be mindful of is that when it turns, I need to put it in a position so that when it turns off. Do you know what I mean? So it turns off the circle. I also just wanted to show you these. I bought these with that 49 Market Curators kit as well. They're a lovely kind of creamy, yellowy, buttery colour. Love that colour. So I just wanted to quickly show you that. But so that's what I want to do with this one. So it's going to be a case of working out where this needs to go and then sticking this down, I think. So I'm thinking something like that. Now, if I put the split pin here, it would be able to turn enough for this to become available. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I think the best thing for me to do, if this doesn't work, I can just cut out another circle, so nothing's lost. I think the best thing to do is just to put a hole here. It's going to go right through. I'm just going to put a pin in. Yeah, so as I say, I did have a prototype and I lost it before filming. I don't know what I've done with it. I did have a tidy up, so it's possibly disappeared into the bin. I don't know how I managed that because I kept it with everything, but these things happen. Okay, so that's there. So if I was to stick that on like that, about there, that moves out the way, and that is kept in place. So if I could I go a bit higher? Yeah, that would work as well. Yeah, so I could go about there. So what I'm going to do is put a little line there so I know where to place it, and I want the score mark. If I lined that up there, actually, with the numbers, would that give me enough room? Yeah, I can do that. So I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to put a score mark there. I can always just erase those. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can get a ruler and just fold your paper against the ruler. Okay, so lining that back up, that would go there, like that. And then that pocket will go onto here, and I can just either fold that over or just cut that little bit off. So let's get the pocket stuck on. I'm going to use my really small nozzled glue. Pop the tiniest amount. Obviously we're not going to be able to fit a lot in here, but it would fit some stamps. I've got some really nice 49 Market stamps actually. I love 49 Market. I think they do things so well. Then we can glue that on. I'm just going to pull that up slightly there. Then a bit of glue on this bit. Put this back where I want it. Put that there. Now, if this bothers you, you can, or if this bothers you, you can not do any decoration on the back, and then you can cover it up. It doesn't bother me. I just quite like to see how things are made, and I always think, you know, it is handmade. It's handmade by me. It's gone into my journal, and I just think it's nice to have handmade elements there, but it's not for everybody. Not everybody does. So you could do all of this and then cover your back, or, you know, use some plain paper and then do what I did. I just like that interest onto there. You could even put like a label or a sticker to cover it up, decorate it a little bit. So once we are all glued, I'm just going to take my eraser. Well, we don't call them erasers, but I don't want to get in trouble for calling them what we call them in England, in the UK. So I'm going to erase that. And then what I have been liking doing is putting a little bit of washi tape here. This is completely optional. I just quite like to strengthen and give a bit of interest onto here. This is a really nice washi. I like this one a lot. Get onto my desk. Rip. Turn it around. This is just another thing I like to do, just to make it a little bit more, I don't know, authentic is the word, maybe, perhaps. That will go there. I'm going to pop a bit of glue on there. So obviously washi is temporary, so the glue is just a precaution. I don't want mine kind of coming up. And while that's drying, these are the stamps from the 49er Market. They are gorgeous. I have used them before in a video, I think. This is the box they come in. Tickets Essentials. There's so many in here. I mean, they're on the pricier side. How much do these cost? £13.95. So they are pricier, but if you look at how many you get, you're never going to need to buy another box. So, and the designs are really well thought of. I love these muted colours. You could even pop, if you wanted to kind of hide something on here. If you wanted to hide that, you could pop a little stamp on. You could do something like that. That's a nice one. So you could do like a little cluster or something. I'm not sponsored or being paid by 49er Market. I just really like their things. That's quite nice actually, because that goes. I'm not overly sure where I'm up to now because my sister has just called in, but just going to give this a good burnish down. Make sure that's all nice and stuck. And then we've got this over there like that. So if you're bothered about it flicking up, you could put another circle on, or, you know, you could put a tie or something like that. I like it the way it is. So that's our basic construction of our journaling card. So the pocket would hold some little stamps. It would also hold a little picture if you've got a photograph or something that you like. You could also do the same design, but cut the circle and have a leaf or a dried plant or something like this, like a stamp cut out. This stamp, by the way, is this one from, is it Craft Consortium? It's this one here. It's really, really nice, and it's the little bee. Again, I bought this last year, so I don't know if it's still available. So it's the Hackney & Co. illustrations, but that's what I use. So you could do something like that on here, but then just keep kind of that same design. You could change the shape using a hexagon, use a rectangle, so many different things that you could do. So I actually think some rub-on flowers would look really nice on here. I think this brown one is lovely. It ties in the brown here. So I was thinking that one there, and I was thinking perhaps a butterfly, like a smaller butterfly like that, just to bring the colours in. Okay, and it's going to go about there, give or take. Okay, and once I've done that, I always get a bone folder. This bone folder is a good one. It's a Teflon bone folder, so it doesn't leave kind of any marks. So I give it a really good burnish. you can hardly tell that it's stuck on. It just becomes part of the paper. And I actually have this stamp set. So I was thinking I could use this arrow as an indication that that's going to turn. I'm going to use the archival potting soil because that's permanent, it won't smudge, and I think black would be a little bit too much. I think this colour would go nice with what we've got going on. Okay. I think that adds a really nice little fun interactive element to that. So on the back, I thought some kind of label situation might be nice. These are just labels that I stamped myself. There is a video on it, although, you know, it's just like a craft with me, stamp along. But I will link it just in case you want to watch it. And there is a shorts video, not a short video, but there's a shorts video where I show how I kind of, what do I say? I think it's called leveling up stamped images. So I could have a smaller one or the larger one. I think the smaller one's nice. I like the round one because it's in keeping with the circles we've used, and it just gives me a place where I can put a date if I want to, or I could put a plain one. And I've got a little bit of leftover washi here, so what I was thinking is just maybe, oops, popping some down the side. That incorporates this circle then into the design. I'm going to put a little bit of sellotape over that split pin. As I say, you don't have to cover this up. I don't mind it at all. But it would be handy to have somewhere to put a date. And I think I'm going to back it on some slightly thicker paper. Right, I've got some spare card here. I've tried to make a little white border there so that I can fill it in with a little bit of this scorched timber, just what's left, and it will make that border a little bit more even. That's worked quite well. So one last thing I want to do is I thought putting an eyelet in would look really, really nice, just mainly for decorative purposes, although, you know, I could put a charm on there as well if I wanted to. It gives me that option. So that's one colour which I like, and I really like the yellowy colour as well. I think I will go for that one. These are We Are Memory Keepers. They come in a pack like this. I mainly bought them because of these two light colours here. I think they're really pretty. And I think for this one we are all finished. So we've got our little turny circle which opens up. You could put a pocket in there. You could cover that if you wanted. There's our back, our decorative stenciling. So you can see what started from one idea. You can change and adapt to many different styles and variations. So what I'm going to do now is actually film a short tutorial on how I made the basic design of this one here with the slit. If you've watched the beginning of this video, you'll know that I'm going back to do it. So I'm going to try and insert it somewhere that it makes sense to be, and this video will be time stamped so that you can hop about between the bits that you need. So that's it from me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that's given you a little bit of inspiration on how we can change up our journaling cards and our inserts for journals. And don't forget to head back to that tutorial if you haven't watched it. But that's it from me for today, so I will see you next time. Bye.